Good evening and welcome everyone to Wednesday Night Live from Courtroom Confidential, the fastest growing true crime news channel on YouTube. Thank you all so much for being here. We already have a huge group of people in the chat, and I think I have a sneaking suspicion as to why that is. First of all, pat myself on the back a little bit. Look how prompt I am. Look how incredibly, it's like you could set your clock to how prompt I was starting the stream tonight. Thank you, everybody, for being here. I see a lot of familiar faces, and Annalie Finch and Pammy and Court Lurker and Proud Grizzly and Becky B, and then a lot of new faces. So welcome, everybody. This is Wednesday Night Live from Courtroom Confidential. My name is Joshua Ritter. I'm a former LA County prosecutor. I was there for over 10 years. Then I left and went into private practice as a criminal defense attorney. This is Courtroom Confidential, where we try our best to present to you both sides of the courtroom. We hope that we do that. And this is Wednesday Night Live, where we try to update you on what's been happening throughout the week. And we have a very special guest with us. And tonight's guest is a fan favorite and a favorite of mine. It is Gisela from Grizzly True Crime. We're on to talk about Donna Adelson. We're going to talk a little bit about the horrible case of the 7-month-old Emmanuel Haro out here in Southern California. So a lot for us to dig in. Thank you, everybody, so much for being here. If you haven't already, please like this episode, subscribe to the channel. If you're new here, we would love to have you, and share this with whoever you think might enjoy it. SLP Mama Bear, thank you so much for becoming a member. I love that. Waited until we started to become a member, and I appreciate you. And also stay around to the very end, because we do have some announcements for you, as we always do. But let's go ahead. Annalie, thank you so much for the super sticker to kick us off this evening. Let's jump in because there's a lot for us to get to. And I am sure that you're all not here just to see my face talking to you. Hello, my friend. How are you?
Hello, Josh. I'm great. How are you?
I'm very good. How are you? How are you awake? Are you staying awake? You've been very busy today. This is a long day for you.
It's a long day, but I feel so awake. I really do. So
Good.
thank you for having me. I'm glad
Good.
I can be chatting to you, and I'm so wide awake.
You're juiced. As Dull Bullard,
Yes.
D. Bullard says, you are juiced and awake and ready to chat. And there's a lot for us to get into. I do want to talk about that Emmanuel Haro case. I want to wait until after we talk about Donna Adelson, but there was actually a press conference that was done today, which is interesting because they actually had a reason why they did the press conference, because this was a case that has been in the media because of the parents and now defendants in the case. So we'll get into all of that. And you covered that just before we went live. You were dissecting that entire thing. And I want to kind of pick apart your brain to see your thoughts on that. But first, let's jump into the Donna Adelson case, which is a case that you have been live streaming and following day to day on your channel, Grizzly True Crime. If you guys don't know about Grizzly True Crime, though I'm imagining everybody in the chat does, please go check it out and please subscribe. Gisela does some of the best live coverage of trials and deep dives that you're ever going to find on YouTube. But earlier this week, let's just kind of start by who has testified and who, what are the interesting takeaways that you had from each of them. So I'm going to start with yesterday, because we talked a little bit already on this channel about Monday. Monday was Rob and Wendi. Monday was the family reunion from hell. You had both of the kids testifying against mom, with dad sitting there in court watching this whole thing go down. Wendi is, playing things as well as a poker player as she possibly can. But Rob comes in and just brings he came in like a wrecking ball, according to what one of the great poets of our time once said, and just blew this case apart. But yesterday, Jeffrey Lacasse testified, and a lot of people have been looking forward to him because he was Wendy's boyfriend leading up to the time when the murders took place. And it sounds like all signs kind of point towards the idea that he was maybe set up to be a patsy in this whole thing. So tell me how you think his testimony went down.
I think his testimony was very detailed, very interesting. And I mean, to me, it was almost a mic drop moment when we found out, oh, so you weren't only potentially going to be framed on the day that Dan Markel was actually shot, but also on the day that the two hitmen had attempted to go there in June of 2014. I mean, that was shocking because he
Yeah.
said both days, and he found this out afterwards. So in hindsight, he realized on both days that the hitmen were in Tallahassee. He would have left town at around 11 o'clock to go out of town. And Wendi had interrogated him about, and I say interrogated because she's like, what time are you leaving and what you're going to drive and where you're going to go and what's your route going to be? And
Yeah.
he would have been driving in the same direction at around the same time as the hitman. So would it just be to add some, confusion, a little bit of smoke to the fire? Could it just be a backup, or was he actually going to be framed? I don't know, but it was pretty shocking to hear.
It also makes me going with this. I think that's a reasonable conclusion to draw, right? That one time is, maybe you call a coincidence. Two times, now you're starting on the pathway towards a pattern. But it also makes me wonder if that dry run, that we always refer to it as the dry run, when they went up there, but they actually didn't murder him, if that wasn't really a dry run, but was actually supposed to be a time they were to kill him and they just pulled the plug for whatever reason.
Yes, I think that is what happened. I mean, I think they said in one account, they said they saw Wendi with the kids, and another, they said they actually saw Dan Markel with the kids, and then they pulled the plug on it, which is interesting.
Yeah.
I thought at first maybe it's a practice run, but it seems like they wanted to commit the murder on that day, which is so scary to think about. Dan just carrying on with his life and being with his boys and going to the gym and all of that. And here, these two gangsters, hitmen are there. But Jeff Lacasse, I mean, sure, in him explaining how Wendi was behaving in the days before and what she was asking and doing, and that was very interesting.
It also makes you wonder, just getting back to this point about that this dry run was likely an attempt that just they pulled out. And it does sound, I do remember you talking about they did testify that they actually did intend to kill him, but pulled out because of the children being in danger, they felt, or would have been witnesses to it or something like that. Psychologically, think about how, so now they've geared themselves up, and I'm talking about Donna and Charlie and likely Wendi, but allegations, geared themselves up to do this horrible thing. They go to do it. It doesn't happen. That's that moment that you can go, oh my God. Oh my God, I'm so glad he's alive. I'm so glad that didn't happen. Oh my God, I can't believe that we actually were going to go through that. Like, that was their last chance to pull the plug on this whole thing. And nope, they said, all right, why gear up again. Everybody saddle up. We're going to go do it again. Isn't that just show you how bent on committing murder they were?
Yeah, it really does. And I mean, it's so many people involved who could have all said, whoa, let's just pump the brakes on this. This was a bad idea. Let's not do that. And they just continued on. And a month and a half or so later, there they went. And they actually committed the murder.
Yeah.
It's just terrible.
Kaylin, you have this photo of the family that we had seen earlier. Before we started recording. And I just wanted to kind of show that to everyone if they hadn't seen it. It just is remarkable to me. This is the Adelsons. So there they are, so young, right? You have Donna and Harvey, and then you've got Rob, Charlie, and Wendi.
Yeah.
And I look at this photo and it breaks my heart because they look so happy. They look like a genuinely happy family. They're all well dressed. I don't know what occasion this was for, but they're all put together. They all look super happy. They look like just this. If you came across them at a restaurant, you would think to yourself, oh, what a pleasant and happy family. And to think about how this family has been completely torn apart. There's, one of those individuals is in prison for the rest of his life. The other one is likely going to be in prison for the rest of her life. Another one, another two may be arrested, and only one of them is sane in the entire thing. It's just so tragic to me to look at this photo and realize many of these people here planned murder.
Yes. I mean, I just look at that domestic coordinator. That's what she said on Wheel of Fortune, right? Donna Adelson. It's almost like, rotten from the top. She
Yeah.
wanted to coordinate and micromanage everyone's lives, and just look how it went. Look how far this went and how many people it affected. Even seeing
Yeah.
Harvey Adelson in the courtroom, I have no idea if he's involved or not. I mean, he's not charged or anything, but sitting there thinking of how hard he worked for his family and making the practice, the Adelson Institute, and Charlie's working there, and being estranged from Rob Adelson, and yet here he is in the courtroom at his wife's trial after watching, well, maybe watching. Donna claims she didn't watch Charlie's trial, but she did. We know she did. We heard it on jail calls. But watching these trials, seeing your family members one after the other get arrested and spend the rest of their life in prison, it's terrible.
That's exactly what I mean. I'm not trying to say, hey, let's all feel bad for the Adelsons here. Like, I get it. They made their beds. But I do feel like what a tragedy that, like you said, man works hard raising his kids. The kids are well educated, right? They go off to successful careers, each of them on their own. I mean, they just this kind of American dream sort of scenario. And yeah, he's sitting there in court watching his wife likely go to prison for the rest of his life. One kid's already in prison. The next one, probably the next one to be arrested. It just breaks your heart. All right. Well, enough sympathy for them. Let's get to the next witness who testified, Katherine Magbanua. How do you feel she did? Yeah, please.
Can I quickly? I don't want to forget about this Jeffrey Lacasse thing. You know what's the most shocking is Wendi, who hates Tallahassee, hates it. Everybody knows it. You see the emails flying, the calls going. She hates it. But then she's supposed to go on a trip to California with Jeff Lacasse that week. And she decides, I have to cancel it because I'm going to have to be in Tallahassee. Yep, going to have to pick up my boys that day. And I'm like, what? Like, you're canceling a trip? Isn't that was so like, oh my word. She canceled a trip on that day. Anyway.
Yeah. No, it really, when you start to look at what are apparently in the moment for Jeff, innocent things, perhaps bizarre, but totally innocent things. And now they take on this incredibly dark meaning behind all of them when he's looking at it in retrospect. The other thing, to that point, a large part of why he was called was about the conversations that she relates between herself and Charlie kind of making these jokes. And I've always felt like the prosecution might be leaning too much on this, in my view. I don't know. I mean, it's got a value to it, but he says, Wendi confided in him that Charlie had looked into all possible options to, quote, take care of the Dan Markel problem, including hiring a hitman. And Jeffrey says that this he found to be chilling. He found it to be disturbing, and it made his stomach flip. So that is not just dark humor, gallows humor, whatever you want to call it. He really felt like this family was perhaps plotting this man's murder. Do you feel that kind of came across to the jurors?
I think so. I definitely think he made that very clear, especially he was talking about how they were in the hot tub and the things they were saying. And then Wendi saying afterwards, can I tell you something confidentially? Like, actually, they've looked into a hitman and it's going to cost $15,000. I mean, it was very specific. So to know then, okay, there's the jokes and then her saying, can I tell you this confidentially, and a price. And then he's actually killed by hitman. I mean, I think that Jeff Lacasse dodged a bullet.
I wonder if that was all part of setting him up too, is that they knew that he would likely be interviewed and then he'd have this story and they'd be like, where is this guy getting this from? You know what I mean? I don't know.
Oh, yes.
I don't know. Everything's sounding more diabolical to me in retrospect.
Yes. The movie's going to be interesting because we know they're going to make one, right? Yeah.
They're going to have to do a mini series. I think there's so much.
Yes.
Laura Waldy, thank you so much for the gift of memberships. Appreciate you. JB Johnsy, thank you for the super chat. Says, Josh, please explain if there is any repercussions for the judge that let Haro off on a sick sentence. The crime against his daughter was so serious. Yes. Stay tuned. We're getting into that, and we're getting into that exact point. So thank you so much for that super chat. All right. Katherine Magbanua. Okay, because wait a minute. License to Deal says, K and J, two of my favorites. How did you all feel hearing Danny's voicemail, my heart sank. We're going to get into that too. So thank you. Katherine Magbanua, a very conflicted character in this whole thing. She's a person who, one, was involved in the plotting of a murder. We can say that because she's convicted. A person who lied about her involvement many, many times. A person who testified previously, admitted that she has not been truthful during her testimony. She's got a lot of baggage along with her. But how do you feel? Was she impactful, do you think, to the jury and what she was able to add?
Not at all. I was so disappointed because in her first trial with Sigfredo Garcia, she lied completely. Second trial, which was her retrial, lied. Then she was sentenced to life without parole. She came back to testify at Charlie Adelson's trial. There, she started telling the truth. She admitted she lied, and she said it was to protect herself. But only some truths, I feel like, started. It felt like peeling on the layers, and be like, oh, you're starting to say things. Okay, admitting some things. So I was thinking at this point, she's going to just completely throw them under the bus. Like, if I'm going down, they're going down. But her very first sentence was, well, I really hope that I get to see my kids at some point. And I'm like, oh man, she still thinks she's going to get leniency or something. So she's still going to be all cautious. And she hardly said a damn thing that helped at all. She came across as quite, in my opinion, deceptive, which we know she is, but the jury doesn't know that. But she didn't offer much. Everything was very vague answers, very beating around the bush. And I'm like, no, man, I was disappointed. Come on, tell us more things.
Yeah. And it's a good thing too, that the prosecution has not, it's not like their entire case rests upon her. I think it is important that they call her because she is such a pivotal cast member in this entire drama. And I feel like not calling her might have been significant. But yeah, as far as moving the needle, I feel like it's just that her trustworthiness has been so blown. She's such a conflicted character that it's like, you don't know, to your point, you don't know what angle she's trying to use in her testimony. But she was asked by Kappelman, Charlie was the go-between between you and Donna, wasn't he? The same way that you were the go-between between Charlie and Garcia. And she says yes. So it is connecting of dots.
Yeah. But the problem is, she said she has no idea how much she got paid.
Yeah.
No clue. Didn't look in the manila envelope. Didn't look when she got the cash either. Has still to this day, she said on the stand, no idea how much she got paid. So the defense attorney actually did very well in the cross-examination, saying, so you're saying that you orchestrated the murder of this man, but you have no idea what your cut was? And she says, no idea. And I'm like, that's crazy. You can't say things like that. At this point, you should know. You probably counted every single penny there. What do you mean? That was just terrible.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was interesting that was brought out on cross, because it gave them a point. And it was kind of like a point that they didn't really deserve. I almost wonder if Kappelman might have handled it, and I'm not trying to criticize her because I think she's done a brilliant job, but might have handled it by taking the sting out of it on direct. But, well, like I said, I think she's a necessary person to have called, but probably not what they're resting their case upon. And thank God for that, because they've got much more powerful evidence, including what happened today, which you and I were talking about beforehand. This is the kind of stuff that may not be all that sexy. It's not all that much family drama. It's not a bunch of gossip, but it is the real meat and potatoes, nitty gritty of what it proves a case. And that is this kind of tenacious police work, wiretaps, phone records, all of the kind of material that makes up an actual hardcore investigation, including starting with today, they had Sergeant Christopher Corbett from Tallahassee PD. And he talked a lot about the phone conversations taking place between all of these various cast members. What did you take away from his testimony that you found to be significant?
I think firstly seeing the maps, the timelines. I love this evidence. It's always some of my favorites.
You like
maps? Kind of
maps?
boring, but I'm like, I'm like, bring it on. We're doing maps. We're looking at little dots. We're looking at where
I
people
didn't
are
know you like
traveling.
maps.
So I think that a lot I could say with him. Hey, like a lot
Yeah.
of testimony that was like, oh my word. I mean, the first thing that comes to mind, because this is now Donna Adelson on trial, is oh, so you went the day Dan Markel was shot on July 18th of 2014. And that evening, she's going to Charlie Adelson's house to drop
Mhm.
off the washed and stapled money, as we know. But, you know, then the defense tries to say, but you didn't know how long she was there. You didn't even know she was there. But she texted him. So the phone evidence came in of, I'm outside your house. And Charlie says it's on his way. That to me was like, ooh, that's a nail in Donna's coffin, honestly, to know that why would she go there? And also the call pattern saying, okay, so Donna calls Charlie. Charlie calls Katherine Magbanua. Katherine calls Sigfredo. Sigfredo
Yeah.
calls Katherine. And then
Yes.
Katherine calls Charlie. And then Charlie calls
Yes.
Donna. And so it goes.
Yes.
And they never cross over. Like Donna's not calling Sigfredo. It always goes in that pattern. And I'm like, that was very damning. If I was on the jury, I'd be like, whoa. And especially, why was she at Charlie's house that night? And then Katherine Magbanua says, to get the money. Charlie said she brought the money. And then she took the envelope with the money.
Yeah.
That was like, you're so busted.
I have been saying since the beginning, and I still stand by this, but that I feel like this is the greatest test of the prosecution thus far, this trial with Donna, because you've got one more degree of separation from the trigger men. And that what they have to prove, and you know, they don't get the benefit of the ground gained from the previous trials. They've got to prove a murder. They've got to prove who committed the murder, who were the in-between people. This is Kaylin's wonderful tree that she came up with. They've got to connect all these dots. And they don't get to just say, by the way, we've had other trials and that's all been decided. They got to prove all that stuff to these folks. And when you go, every step that you take, every degree of separation away from the trigger men is going to get a little bit more difficult. And I've said that, listen, they're going to have to show that it goes from Donna to Charlie to Katherine to Sigfredo and back up the chain. And this was the day. Like you just pointed out, those call logs are exactly that. Donna to Charlie, Charlie to Katherine, Katherine to Sigfredo, and back up the line in this almost like perfectly orchestrated timeline on the day that they had gone up there but not killed him, but we now all believe to be not a dry run, but just a failed attempt.
Yeah, even that. I mean, there's so much. I'm seeing all those little cell phone dots, the locations, the text messages, the calls flying, and just seeing how soon, like right before the murder, what they were all doing and saying, and then right afterwards. Well, after Dan was shot, it obviously, you know, he died 14 or so hours later. But after he was shot in his garage, oh, wow. Right soon after that, there goes the pattern again. And they're all messaging each other and driving to Charlie's house. I mean, Katherine Magbanua goes to his house. She stays the night, but Donna's there right before handing over money. I mean, Harvey was driving the vehicle, so that's interesting too.
Yeah. The Wendi was interesting. Rob was interesting, but this is where the rubber hits the road, is this kind of stuff, showing this direct connection between all these people. What did you think about the questions about Wendi's behavior? He was asked about how Wendi never called Dan Markel to make sure that the kids were okay. She never contacted the police upon seeing that police activity to find out if the kids were okay. Like this to me was like setting up consciousness of guilt stuff on the part of Wendi, which I thought was interesting for them to kind of, it's not really moving the needle for Donna, but they're going after Wendi. What did you think about that?
Yeah, it feels like they're the whole time leaving a couple of clues and breadcrumbs for prosecution, potential prosecution of Wendi.
Oh, yeah.
Like, is this trial to get to Wendi? Is that what it's for? Because we're all wondering, because things like that come up because it's absolutely crazy. For Wendi, they showed the route she traveled to go to the liquor store she went to and turn into that Trescott Road, which is her former house, which is Dan Markel's house. Why are you turning in there? So she's like, oh, it's just that's my usual way. It makes no sense. Where she was going for the lunch, there was a Publix liquor store right there. There's no reason to go 9 minutes out of your way. So you're turning in there. You see yellow tape. You see cop cars. You don't call Dan to make sure he's okay. You do not call the preschool to make sure your boy's okay. Yeah. That tells me you know exactly what happened.
Yeah. And again, Wendi's not on trial. So they went on this kind of little side quest to kind of bring in, like you said, lay a lot of groundwork on Wendi. To me, it was, when I was hearing that, I became the most convinced that I ever have that she's going to be indicted. Like, the way they were laying that out, it almost seemed like a dress rehearsal for her trial. Like, it's
Yes.
so convincing, and it really has very little to do with Donna's guilt or innocence. It really just has to do with Wendi's consciousness of guilt and just her bizarre behavior on the day that cops are at at the home of where her children is. That's the part that makes it so significant. That's where her kids are that you love so much. You're not calling anybody to see if anybody's okay. You're not. I mean, I can imagine the amount of phone calls I'd be getting from Tiffany if there was police activity on our street.
Yes.
she would be blowing me up with trying to figure out to make sure everybody's okay. Incredible stuff.
Yeah.
Thank you, Fala, damn it. I love saying that name, for the gift of memberships. Appreciate that. And thank you, Woman of Heart, for becoming a member. Thank you. Welcome aboard. V23325, one of Elon Musk's children, for becoming a member. Appreciate you. And Jude the Tiger for the gift of a membership. Appreciate that. Best Nancy, thank you so much. Always so generous of you. Annie Log 7581, thank you for the super chat. Says, it blows my mind that Donna was so bothered about who Wendi and Rob dated and married, but she was fine with Charlie dating a girl who can hire a hitman. What an interesting point.
Yeah.
What do you make of that? I had never thought about that. Thank you, Annie Legg, for that, bringing that up. Yes, she's so all up in the business of Wendi and Rob, and if they're in the right religion, if they're in the right career, and all of this kind of stuff. And meanwhile, Charlie's going around with gang members and shady characters, and she doesn't really care.
It's very strange. A lot of double standards going on there. So much pressure on Rob Adelson. And then obviously that led to him being estranged. That's why he's estranged from the family. And then so much pressure on Wendi. But Charlie, he can just do whatever he wants. Yeah, he can go on what they said was like sex tours in Asia. And I'm like, what is happening? So I don't know if Donna decided he's going to be my little manipulator. I can use him no matter what for anything I want. And it's almost also as if she sees herself in him. Obviously, it's her son, but I mean in a bad way. And that she can just use him to do whatever she needs to be done, which is clearly what happened in this case.
I think you're absolutely right. I think she saw Rob as kind of her golden child, and Wendi is her precious little princess, and Charlie is the muscle. And Charlie's the one that she goes to when she needs the dirty deeds done. And it is amazing that she doesn't care, like you said, who he's dating, what he's up to, what he's doing with his life, going around with the vanity plates and doing the drugs and everything else. But when it comes down to doing some real dirty work, dirty deeds done cheap, she calls up Charlie. That's an interesting point. Thank you so much for that, and Annie, for making us think about that. Tauberg 93, thank you so much for becoming a member. Welcome aboard. A homicide detective's daughter, thank you for becoming a member. Isabel 164 wait a minute, I'm saying that wrong. Lala Sale, I think I got that right, for becoming a member. Appreciate you. Pantufel says Charlie's own mouth after the bump was a harder impact. We're going to get into the bump. So this is a great segue. Let's talk about the bump now, because that was the other big thing that came out today. And then before, Allie B from Tennessee, thank you so much for having our grizzly mama Gisela on as a guest. Love her. Well, thank you for being here. We appreciate Gisela. Let's talk about the bump, because that's a perfect segue, because that was the other big thing that happened today. And that was something that a lot of people have been looking forward to. A lot of people have been pointing towards as being, this is going to be the point that turns the jurors' minds. If any of them are having questions before now, just wait till they get to the bump. How do you think that played out in court today?
I think it showed very strongly even more the call pattern, because it worked like a charm. There's the bump on April 19th of 2016. And Donna doesn't call the police. Instead, she calls Charlie. And immediately they're speaking in code. And Charlie cannot read the room. And he's picking his mother's brain, just asking all the questions. And they had 3 calls on that day, eventually getting to, this TV is going to cost about 5. And then she mentions, well, this guy, he came up to me and like he's talking about an ex-girlfriend. Immediately he calls Katherine Magbanua. The next day, he's sitting with Katherine Magbanua in a restaurant. And he's already talking, about everything. So that is when that audio got cleaned up, what really caused him to get arrested. But to see it happen so quickly, I don't know if the undercover cops even expected it to happen that quickly.
Mm-mm.
They were like, okay, let's just get them talking again. Damn, on the first day.
Yeah.
Day 1, 3 calls to Charlie and like talking about all this. That was very interesting.
Yeah, incredibly successful operation on their part. It amazes me too, because I think we have to remember, everybody, this is 2 years later. Oh, yeah. This is like a long period of time has passed. And why that's significant to me is that I imagine the weeks following the murders, they're probably very nervous. I don't think anybody's getting good sleep, right? They're all like, I can't believe we did this. It's a big story. People are investigating. It's all over the news. And they're all nervous. Did we pull this off? And then time goes by and nobody comes knocking. And nobody's really, nobody seems to be falling under the suspicion of police. Then arrests are made. Okay, now we're a little bit more nervous. And still, nothing happens. Time goes by. 2 years later, they're probably thinking, we got away with it. We're living in Miami. We're having this wonderful life that we always wanted for our daughter and grandkids. We've changed their names. We've erased him and forgot about him. And then the bump. And I can't imagine the shock that must have gone through all of them. And like you said, it doesn't take but a matter of moments before they're starting to have these incredibly implicating phone calls and conversations.
Yes, that's where Wendi is now out of the picture in those calls as well, because it's interesting to hear throughout all the evidence and maybe Harvey, maybe when this was just Donna saying, yeah, this involves the both of us. Oh, the both of you, Charlie and Donna. Wow. I mean, on that day. Amazing.
This is her quote. I love that. This is her quote. Okay, no, this was the words kind of summarized of what the undercover agent says to Donna to kind of get her going. He goes, and I love this too, because he played it perfectly. He didn't go too hard. He didn't get too soft. He goes, we know their problem up north has been taken care of. And Katie and Tuto, who we now know to be Sigfredo Garcia, had been taken care of. But my brother Tato, who's Luis Rivera, has not been taken care of. That conversation, if somebody says that to an innocent person, they're going to the police, right? I mean, as quickly as they can find a phone, they're calling 911 because this is just about as threatening as you could possibly get. But what does she do? She calls up Charlie, and Charlie says in the midst of their conversation, does it involve me or other people? So he immediately knows what she's talking about. And she goes, well, probably both of us, probably the two of us. So you probably have a general idea what I'm talking about.
Yeah. And he's like, that's crazy. Can't believe it. Here we go. And I would have loved to be a fly on the wall when they were listening to, when they were wiretapping those calls, because they were wiretapping Charlie's calls. So to know, whoa, he's phoning, like the mom is phoning him immediately. And they're talking about TVs being about 5, and this involves the both of us. And it's like this guy, and I didn't really know who he was, but he came right up to me and he knows me by name. I mean, that was brilliant. That was a really brilliant move by the investigators.
It was. And you make a great point. I imagine they were high-fiving each other in the van or wherever they're sitting there listening to this whole thing. They have to have been out of their heads with how happy this information was that they were getting.
Yes.
Because it could have fallen apart, right? I mean, she could have just said, hey, I need to talk to you.
Yeah.
Right?
Or maybe
come to, can you stop by the house tonight? We need to have a chat. And it could have been a big nothing for them, but instead they couldn't help themselves.
No, the little manipulator. That's Mr. Maestro. He was just asking, trying to get that information from his mother. And damn, did he also talk his absolute head off to Katherine Magbanua. So those two calls just ties it all together. So yeah, that was brilliant.
What's happening the rest of the week? Do we know? Are you looking forward to anything that people can kind of get a sneak preview of what they should tune into your channel for to watch this week? Do we know?
So Donna Adelson, still day 5 and 6 for this week. I don't know if the state said they need about 6 to 7 days to present the case. So they might actually rest. Who knows if they're going to rest soon,
they've been
by the
going
end of the
through
week.
this quickly. They've been going very
They have
quick.
been.
Yeah.
They're flying through these witnesses. So two people I'm really looking forward to at least still hearing from would be Charlie Adelson. Put him on the stand. Please put Charlie on the stand. We want to hear what he says. And is he going to stick to his double extortion story? I think he has to, because he said that on the stand at his own trial. So that's interesting for his case. What exactly is Charlie going to say, and how long will he talk? Do we need a whole day for him? Because you never know. So him, and then also Sarah Youssef, who is a criminal defense attorney, correct me if I'm wrong, but she was friends with Wendi. And she didn't like how Wendi was so cold talking about Dan Markel's murder, saying it was a whack job and he was a jerk and all of that. So she actually kind of turned on Wendi, and then she contacted the Markels, and she's been trying to help them get visitation rights for their grandkids. And so that's interesting. I want to hear from her. I want to hear what she's got to say as well. I don't know how that ties into evidence against Donna, but I'm interested to hear that as well.
Yeah. I don't know how I possibly forgot, but Donna's still set to testify. So that obviously will not be in the prosecution case, but maybe they wrap up this week, and then maybe by next week we're hearing from Donna.
Oh my goodness. Okay, I can't. Okay, if that's the question, if it's not just what are you waiting for the state? Oh, the whole case. I can't wait for Donna to take the stand. Have a little pastel cardigan on, and a little $2 Walmart earphones. I can't hear a thing.
I always imagine her doing like a crochet of a sweater for her dog while she's got her glasses slipping down her nose, telling everybody how she could never hurt anyone.
Oh man, it's going to be so wild.
Jude the Tiger, thank you so much for becoming a member. Welcome aboard. License to Deal. Wendy's dad was writing her psych meds. That's outside his scope. Oh, interesting. What was that about?
Yeah, so I think that was it on I think Charlie was saying, I think Charlie said it on a jail call somewhere. I can't actually remember who testified to this. We've heard so much this week. But yeah, apparently Harvey was writing out prescriptions for psych meds for Wendi. Wasn't it Jeff Lacasse as well that said that she had been diagnosed with depression or something? And so that was, there's a lot of other red flags with, if you look at the family, not paying taxes, apparently not paying taxes, avoiding the IRS, writing these scripts. So yeah. Well,
I don't know how you, as a sober person, face the next day after you murdered the father of your children. But the Quiet Fringe, thank you so much for gifting the membership. Appreciate you. Cody in Tennessee, thank you again for the gift of memberships. Jen Wowza says, can't wait to hear from how the defense is going to spin Donna admitting the note was for the two of them. Oh, and telling Charlie to bring cash for lunch. What is she going to say about that? What can she possibly say?
I think she might with the cash for lunch there, but we always washed our cash and stapled it. I always brought cash to lunch. But then how they're going to spend it, it involves the two of us. How are they going to? What would that mean?
Is it just me that there's some weird part of me that is just so bothered by the idea that they were stapling the cash too? I don't know why. I'm bothered by I'm like imagining what you got to do to undo the cash, and then you've got all these bills with holes in them. I don't know why that gets me, but her spin, to your point, Jen, it's going to have to be something, Oscar winning, because she's going to have to, I imagine we're going to hear a lot of, I don't knows. And this was a long time ago and I keep my memory, but all of that, but kind of stuff. But you have to imagine her defense is going to have to ask her this question. To me, it's a dereliction of duty if they don't address some of this stuff up front. What do you think?
Yeah, they were just close. Okay. It's a mom very close to her son.
Yeah.
And that's what she meant by the two of us, because everything, maybe that would be the defense. Everything involves the two of us because we're very close.
Just a very close family.
Yes. We're talking about TVs.
Bluebell, thank you so much. Says, love you both. Great coverage. Gisela, please get some refs after this. Gisela doesn't sleep, everybody. I hate to tell you. I'm gonna break the news here on this channel. The Gisela doesn't sleep. She just plugs herself in and recharges, and a few minutes later she's ready to go again. Oh, and we gifted some memberships, so good for us. Enjoy. Thank you, Cancer Free, for the gift of membership. Wow, everybody's so generous tonight. Charlie Pantufel says, Charlie, it's time to throw mama from the train. I doubt it. I don't think so. I think he comes into court and he sticks with his story. What do you think?
I think so as well. I think he's gonna, if mama's going down, so is he. The two of them, they're gonna stick to the same double extortion story. I think he's gonna tell the same story he told and see how it goes.
Yeah. These guys, they're in prison. They want nothing to do but get out. And the idea of ever threatening that, I don't think they would take the chance, even just to do the right thing. Yeah. All right. Can you stick around for a few minutes more and we can talk about Emanuel Haro? Because this is a case that I know you've been following very closely. It's a case that I've been following because it's here in Southern California, and it just absolutely breaks my heart. But for those of you who don't know, this is about this young, beautiful boy. He's 7 months old. His mother goes to the police on August 14th. This is out in an area called Yucaipa, California. Her story is that she was at a Big Five sporting goods store. She's doing something where she's trying to change his diaper or something like that. And then she says some unknown person comes up to her, says, hola, and next thing she knows, she's waking up on the ground and her baby is gone. And they do this whole press conference and they've got the little sign, missing baby. And it's this whole production they put on, missing kid. God. Wow. And they're saying the baby has been stolen. And she's even got a bloody, not a bloody nose, but a black eye. So she's saying, help us find our baby. Well, to everyone's, to no shock of anyone and to everyone's nightmare, now they have been arrested. They've been charged with murder. And we had a press conference today. And I want you to kind of walk us through some of the highlights of the press conference. But one thing I wanted to say is that it was interesting to me that the gentleman who ran it, his name was Mike Hestron. He is a Riverside DA. Excellent guy, excellent job he did here. But he said that they wanted to call a press conference because this whole thing started with a press conference by the mother and father. And they felt that it was important for them to now get out and tell everybody exactly what's been going on. So with that, I'll let you kind of tell us what were some of your biggest takeaways from today.
Yeah, and I think the press conference was important because in cases like this, when the parents do suspicious media interviews that everybody's analyzing, because we can all see they're lying. I don't think there was one person that said, no, guys, just back off. Let's give them the benefit of the doubt. I didn't see any comments like that this time. We usually do. But, we were all looking at them like, why are they lying like that? The story makes no sense. Hola, really? And then you knocked out. And then we find out the stepson's football game you went to didn't even happen. The mother of that boy said that wasn't even true. So the whole story fell apart.
The cover story was complete nonsense.
Cover story gone. So now it's very important to have this press conference because social media has taken over. It's taken the lead on the case. And that's dangerous because it can affect the investigation. So I'm glad they did the press conference, but they were definitely angry at social media saying keyboard warriors and all that, but also very angry at the judge in Jake Harrow's previous case. So they brought up a lot of important points. And I think the general vibe I got was that they're very protective over this case, over Emanuel Haro and getting justice for him. So I hope people can feel that and see that because some people just take it at face value. Like, why are they so angry? I'm like, I think they're protecting the case and poor Emmanuel and his sister who survived, but will be in full-time care for the rest of her life. So I don't know if it went all over the place now. I can refine those bullet points if you want.
No, I want to get into, because that one of the things that really stuck out to me was how they really went after that judge for the prior case that the father, Jake, had back in 2018. He pled in 2023. And I want to get into that because that is not something you usually see from DAs. But let's talk about some of the stuff we did learn, and then actually something we're now hearing may not be the most accurate of reporting. Okay. So first of all, we know that they have not recovered a body. They were searching. We thought at one point it was even reported that they had discovered something. They have not.
Yeah.
They were out there with the father, Jake, at one point looking, but their comment on this was, we have a pretty strong indication of where the remains of the baby Emmanuel are, but they have not located him just yet. The other thing, and I thought this was interesting, I want to hear your thoughts on this, was that they, even without having recovered a body, obviously no autopsy being performed, they already have a theory as to how he may have died. They said, we believe baby Emmanuel was subjected to abuse over time, and because of that abuse, he succumbed to his injuries. That really stuck out to me. What did you think?
Me too. That was interesting. I'm not too sure what evidence they have of that, unless it's other witness accounts, maybe grandparents, other family members. I'm not sure if that's what it would be, or if they had pictures. Maybe he deteriorated over time, because there are some pictures of him, very few, where he looks, at least he's smiling. In the more recent ones, he's absolutely not. He does look like a traumatized, abused child. So yeah, that was very interesting. And to see the charges, of course, they've now been charged with false reporting to the police. But Jake Haro has been charged with malice murder, or murder with malice. And Rebecca's been charged with first-degree murder. That surprised me. When you look at the jail records, I'm like, oh, there's a little bit of a difference here, because, spot the difference. He looks like he's got more charges, possession of a weapon and all of that. Based on previous charges, he can't have that. Why is she charged with first degree? That's intentional homicide, and he's charged with malice murder. So they're both charged with murder, but it's slightly different. I find that interesting.
I think it's incredibly interesting. And I think that might go towards the point that you're making about there's probably stuff they know that they're not sharing with us as to how they're arriving at this theory that he had suffered abuse over time. I don't think they would be saying something that definitive. Just the point you make about the photographs is excellent, but I don't think they would be making that just based upon photographs. I think there must be other witnesses, or maybe even Jake himself has said something to that effect, and maybe he's diming out his wife and saying, listen, this is on her. I helped, I was part of it, all of that other kind of stuff. But that's why, malice murder, listen, it's not, he's going to prison for the rest of his life, but it is, to your point, not first degree murder. It's not this premeditated malice aforethought type murder. Let's get into then what we think. What do we think about Jake, and what involvement has he had? Because we know that mom, Rebecca, has apparently stuck to her story, continues to maintain that this kidnapping took place. Jake, on the other hand, is interesting because we've seen him with police out in the field, in location searching for the body. Before we get into this, one other thing that I thought was interesting was how they said that in their conversations with them, that initially they were cooperating. Then when confronted with inconsistencies, they stopped. And then they mentioned how Jake spoke about him in the past tense. Did you catch that?
Yeah. I mean, they spoke about him, Emmanuel, in the past tense a lot. And even at some point referred to Emmanuel as it. That was so chilling, because I mean, we look out for things like that. We learn from the behavior panel, the body language experts, statement analysts, and many of us in the true crime community like to look out for things that we learn from them. And like, whoa, they're saying past tense, not just once. Once is like, all right, but all the time. Speaking in past tense, referring to Emmanuel as missing kid on the flyer. And then your numbers are disconnected. I mean, all of that was just such a huge red flag. At the press conference, they also mentioned, when one of the media reporters asked, but has he had previous medical attention? They wouldn't answer that. That I find interesting, is maybe why they know that he was abused over time. maybe somebody noticed, I don't know what, broken bones, bruises. Maybe it was shaken baby syndrome. Some people are speculating that have medical experience, and maybe he wasn't born how he was later when we saw him. Shame, man.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
Well, and we're going to get into why that type of abuse is not entirely unheard of when it comes to Jake, at least. But these were some comments. We obviously don't have the interviews. Transcripts have not been released of that, and they won't be. But even when speaking to the media, this was how Jake spoke about Emmanuel. He was a healthy baby. He was crawling. He was kicking. He was playing with his toys. He was a 7-month old. He was our 7-month-old. That's past tense. That is, where's our 7-month-old? He's a beautiful baby. He is a happy kid. He's a healthy kid. He's crawling. Where is he? That is all how you talk about someone that doesn't walk this earth anymore.
Exactly. So that's not why, I don't think that's why the police presume that he's deceased, but that's part of it. Yeah. I think they found some evidence at the house, and they said this case relies heavily on digital forensic evidence. I'm like, oh, okay. So we're going to see maps, timelines, phones. Maybe they took him out to that area because his phone pinged there for quite some time. Because he looks pretty confused out there. To me, it doesn't look like he's actually helping. He's standing there looking around.
Yeah.
But they took him out there probably because his phone pinged out there, or maybe he Googled it.
Yeah. Google searches, I imagine, are going to come and be a part of this. Sure. Okay. At one point, it was reported that there was an undercover inmate who had had kind of prodded him into making a confession. And this is a fairly common type of thing that will happen with law enforcement in these types of cases. They've got somebody in custody. They believe that person is involved. The person won't speak. They can't get a confession. They're trying to get as much evidence as they had. And they refer to it in California as a Perkins operation, where they will put someone in the cell with them who is undercover. Everything's being recorded, and they will get that person to start talking. And there were reports that he admitted to killing and dumping the baby during this conversation. However, during the press conference today, they were asked specifically about this. Tell us what their response to that was.
And they were asked twice. So two different reporters, because the first reporter that asked, I don't think everybody was satisfied with the answer of like, wait, what do you mean? Because this is such huge viral news at this point. So then a second reporter asked the same question about, but didn't he confess to murdering the child and throwing Emmanuel in the trash? And whoa, they aggressively denied it. It was really, they were very defensive. They were very aggressive. So it leads me to two possibilities. Either it's completely false, completely untrue, which is what they're saying, or they don't want that to get out and they're protecting the investigation and the prosecution of the case. I'm not too sure which one it is, but they were very, very aggressive.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting too. They didn't, if there were any truth to it, I feel like they would have shut it down differently. But the idea that they shut it down so aggressively makes me think that there's something wrong with that reporting, and that just simply did not take place, which is interesting. I don't know. We will find out. Okay.
We will.
So we have some questions here. Tennessee, Cody in Tennessee says, what was Dad's prior case? Shy Gal says, question from the chat, could they still charge him with the attempted murder? This is talking about the prior case. A lot of people have been asking about this prior case. And so I'll set you up and then you tell me, just give me your thoughts on this. But basically, in 2018, Jake was arrested. He didn't plead until 2023, but he was arrested for child abuse, child endangerment. And the judge at the time gave him, instead of prison time, gave him 6 years suspended, meaning he was sentenced to 6 years prison, but they suspended it. They didn't actually give it to him. Instead, they put him on probation and work release. And tell us what the DA's reaction to all of that was today and what we now know about this prior case.
Right. So he's had three wives, this Jake Haro. The first one, Isabel, he had a son with her. The second one, Vanessa, he had a son and a daughter with her, and Rebecca, a son and a daughter as well. Now, the daughter was 10 weeks old, where he had abused her, but also repeatedly based on the broken ribs, healing fractures, to the point where, yeah, she almost died. She survived. She's going to be on full-time, in full-time care. So she can't see, she can't walk, talk, all of that. And that second wife's cousin has adopted her, as well as the 2-year-old that was removed from Jake and Rebecca's home, Emmanuel's sister. So there's that whole story. But man, today was the DA upset about that because, and so are we. We are all outraged. When I say we, I'm talking about the Grizzly True Crime community. I can't speak for everyone, but today when we were discussing it, everybody's so outraged of why on earth. I think it was actually a 4-year work release program, and he didn't even spend a day in jail. In-out work release program, and just do a child abuser course. Okay, just do that course and you'll be done. And that is such an injustice to that little girl, but now also to Emmanuel. Now he's facing murder charges for Emmanuel. He went on to have more kids after that, and then to allegedly murder one. He's accused of murdering one. That's crazy. So it's really, really devastating. I hope there'll be justice for Emmanuel and that little girl. And I agree with the DA. He should have really been in prison. It was just interesting to see because we don't normally see that from DAs. Normally, maybe we're outraged on social media and they kind of, they're a little bit more held back with it. But he went all out with it on that judge. He was like, I am not attacking him personally, but the decision was terrible. I agree.
Yeah, I agree with you. My thoughts were DAs are told, in fact, and they are usually very diplomatic when they talk about prior cases, prior dispositions of cases, prior judges. You don't usually see them get as vitriolic as this DA was today. And he lit into everybody on this.
Mm-hmm.
And his whole point was that tragedy of how that case was handled may have played a role in this death, because that man should have been in prison. He shouldn't have been around children. And maybe he said as much. Baby Emmanuel would be here today if it wasn't for that. Here's some quotes, just so you guys know what we're talking about. He says, if that judge had done his job as he should have done, Emmanuel would be alive today. That's absolutely how he feels. And that's a shame, and it's an outrage. And I hate to say that, but when our criminal justice system breaks down, I'm going to just call it like it is and tell you it broke down. It's not supposed to work that way. I agree with all of that. Here's what's even more bothersome to me about this. We're going to talk about the injuries to in that prior case. This was also an infant. That little girl, to this day, has permanent injuries that she's dealing with. To this day, is bedridden. She suffered fractured ribs, a fractured skull, and brain hemorrhaging at the time. This was not, I spanked my kid too hard. I shook my kid. I was so angry. All of this kind of, parenting gone wrong, whatever you want to call it, that you could sometimes understand where judges might, give some leniency or something. This was horrible injuries to an infant child that is still permanent injuries that this person is dealing with. Somebody in the comments says, why, where is it? I lost it here. Why wasn't this charged why wasn't this charged as a attempted murder? And I agree, because yes, place the blame on the judge, but what DA was asleep at the wheel during that whole thing? I can't believe by the way, everybody, the judge doesn't make the offers. The DA makes the offers. Okay. So unless this is a situation, and if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, and I apologize. But if this was a situation where the DAs were pounding their fists, losing their mind, saying, you can't do this, and the judge went above and beyond them and said, well, that's all fine and good, I'm going to give this to him. That does happen, by the way. But to me, where were the charges? Where were the attempt murder charges? Where were the more serious charges that would have handcuffed a judge from doing something like this? This is outrageous.
Yes, it is. And now we look at the knock-on effect as well. Now, the other thing is Rebecca has obviously been charged with, remember, the first-degree murder, which is interesting. So if Jake had spent the rest of his life in prison after that, Emmanuel would not actually have been born because they wouldn't have met, Rebecca. But what's up with Rebecca? What's she doing to children? I think more's going to come out there as well, and they both were aware of the abuse, is how they worded it at the press conference too. But I agree, it should have been attempted murder. Can they still charge that now or not? Not, right? Because he pleaded guilty to willful cruelty to a child. So that's over.
Yeah. This was the point that I want to give credit to the Knoxville agent for saying he keeps blaming the judge, but I want to know why Jake wasn't charged with attempted murder of his disabled daughter. Yes. Great question. If we're going to start tossing blame, the blame should start with the prosecutor again, unless they were pounding their fists and trying to stop this judge, and the judge just went off on their own and did this, which is not entirely unheard of, but excellent question. Let me see. I just want to make sure that we're not missing anything in the chat here, because a lot of people are heated on this one. Recovery addict. Oh, hello, my friend. Good to see you. Has been a member for 7 months. Has great coverage as always. Appreciate that. High praise coming from you. Recovery addict's been following the Donna Adelson case as well. A lot of people watching this one closely. As he was sentenced for his daughter's horrific. Oh, so here's thank you so much. Munira Sultana. Thank you. I need to just have you on to help me with the names. Thank you for the super sticker. Here's a question to that point. As he was sentenced for the daughter's horrific injuries, I'm guessing it would be double jeopardy to revisit it. It's not really double jeopardy. It is. There's a concept of if you plead to one thing that is connected to a crime, that is seen as pleading to everything connected to it. I'm really doing a horrible job of explaining this, but let's say somebody is arrested for driving a stolen vehicle, okay? And that person pleads to driving a stolen vehicle. You cannot then later go back. It's called a Kellett issue. You cannot later then go back and go, oh, wait a minute, I want to charge you for the carjacking where you took the vehicle in the first place. You dropped the ball, DA. So that's why DAs will charge all of these things at once so that they encompass that, and somebody can't pull a fast one and plead to something less serious like driving a stolen vehicle when in fact they carjacked the vehicle to begin with. I hope that makes sense to everybody the way I'm explaining that. But yeah, if he pled to abuse of a child, they can't go back and then say, well, we want to recharge that same crime a different way and charge it as attempt murder, even though he was never charged with attempt murder. Anyhow, I probably did a horrible job of that. Jay Jackson from Texas says the DA did not agree with the visiting judge, who went against the DA and said what should happen. The judge went against the DA, what the DA argued for. The DA did not agree and is pissed. Okay, thank you for that. If that is in fact true, that would also explain a lot of the anger that the DA had today, because maybe he knew that backstory and is explaining that they were upset at the time with what that judge did, and now the nightmare they were trying to avoid actually came true. And Terry, it says the same thing. Local reporter got court documents. It was the judge, not the DA. I will tell you guys, this happens. I've dealt with this when I was a DA myself. This is the kind of stuff that keeps you up at night and absolutely infuriates you when you have a judge who just decides, and they have the power to just undercut you completely and give somebody who did something horrific a break. And you pray to God it doesn't come back to haunt you, and now it's come back to haunt you. So good on, now I feel even more upset. Good on Mike Hestron, the DA in Riverside, for going after that judge. That judge deserves every bit of grief that they might be receiving for this at this point. Please don't go out and dox that judge because I said that. I'm just getting on my soapbox. Julia Dunner says, we have to study and take several tests to have a driver's license and operate 2-ton vehicle, but don't need anything to be a parent. Very true. Very, very true. All right. License to Deal says she takes naps. Oh, we're talking about, I think, are we talking about
Never
you?
sleep.
Gisela?
Me, I never sleep.
Never sleep. I think you just kind of power down for a moment. You kind of close your eyes, take a deep breath, and then you're ready to go for another 6 hours straight.
Yes.
Gisela, you are so amazing. Thank you so much for all of your insights and everything. I want to say, first of all, you've been on Court TV quite a bit. Please check out Gisela on Court TV. I'm glad that they didn't call you tonight so that you were free to talk to us.
Keep the momentum going. Call me.
I know. I'm sure they will, believe me. And you are covering Donna Adelson every day. So if people are not already following you, go subscribe right now to Grizzly True Crime, and you're in court watching it all day long, right?
Yes. I am making eyebrows. I am snarking, making eyebrows. We're doing timelines, presentations, whatever is necessary to understand what is going on here. It's a riveting trial, in my opinion.
Yeah, it is. You really don't see this. Somebody compared it to like Shakespeare. Like it really is, with all the moving parts and the family members and everybody's against each other and plotting this murder. And I'll tell you what else makes it riveting is how quickly and directly the prosecution's been putting their case on. They're not giving a bunch of fluff. They're going through this quickly.
Oh, yeah. Yep. And the judge is great as well, getting snacks for the jury. The judge is a classic as well. Yeah.
Yeah. He's my spirit animal, I think. He's a big teddy bear, and I love him. Gisela, you're the best. Everybody's telling you how much they love you. Thank you so much for being here. Appreciate you. I do order you to go get some rest, though.
I will do my best.
Okay. Thank you again. Good to see you. I'm going to bug you again soon.
Okay. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh, Gisela, she's the hardest working person on YouTube in the true crime world. Thank you so much, Michelle LA67, for the super chat. Who else did I miss? Did I miss anybody else? Josh was looking great on Fox News last night in his suit. Oh, thank you so much, Lay Terry. All right, let me give you guys some quick announcements, and then we'll get you all out of here, shall we? Thank you so much, everybody, for sticking around. We had a great group tonight. A lot of people in the chat. It was moving very quickly. First of all, go to thecourtroomconfidential.com. That is our website, and that is where we have everything. Oh, no. I didn't bring down the hat. Tiffany, are you able to bring me the hat? That is where we have all things, your one-stop shop for everything that you might want from Courtroom Confidential. If you want to leave us a message for Sunday Fun Day coming up this Sunday, go to thecourtroomconfidential.com and click on Leave Us a Message. If you want to join our membership program, you click on Become a Member, and you can find out all about that. If you want to learn about our new merch, we've got a bunch of new stuff. We got new shirts. I think this is not one of the new ones, but it is one of our shirts that we have. A bunch of new colors. There she is to save the day. We've got new tumblers, which are right here. These larger size ones that say "Let's get juiced" on them. Also, your Pinot on the go tumbler for the wine size. And then what I'm really super excited about is we got new hats, which are snapback hats that say Courtroom Confidential, that I've been wearing around the whole neighborhood, hoping to get noticed by somebody, or at least somebody go, "What the heck is that?" And I can say, "Oh, it's my podcast. Go check it out." Really nice new hats. So a bunch of new stuff on the website. Thank you so much, Tiffany, for running that down to us. Also, something else that we're excited about, that we in our pursuit of continuing to do these live streams without ever interrupting them with ads from YouTube. We hope that you guys appreciate that. We don't want you to have to sit through ads while you're listening to these conversations. And so we're able to find ourselves our first ever sponsor, and that is a company named Aura. Aura is, listen, if you're dealing with robocalls, if you're dealing with spam email, if you're dealing with leaked passwords, if these are things you're concerned with, Aura is your all-in-one digital security platform. Go to aura.com/courtroom confidential. When you do that, you will automatically get a 14-day free trial. With that comes alerts about your web security, a VPN, an antivirus, password manager, ID theft insurance, US-based support, all of these great benefits. I've been using it. I love it. The results are incredible. I got an email today saying that my information has been removed from a website. I've noticed that the robocalls are stopping. All of this is because of Aura. Please check it out. It's free for 14 days. It's a great product. We wouldn't recommend it to you otherwise. And it's a great way to support the channel. So please check it out. Also, what did you miss on Monday? We had Gigi from Pretty Lies and Alibis on the show. We were talking about, you guessed it, Donna Adelson. We talked about her thoughts and reactions to Rob and Wendi testifying. So please check that out if you haven't already. And there it is. There's the two of us, and there's Donna right in the middle, looking actually better in that photo than she's been looking in court. Then stay tuned all this week on our sister channel, Courtroom Confidential live trials. We as well are streaming the Donna Adelson trial. So if you want to hang out with all your Courtroom Confidential buds, then check out Courtroom Confidential live trials, and you can hang out with all of us in the chat all this week. We're following every single day of trial, the gavel to gavel. Saturday, we're going to have our weekly roundup. It premieres at 8 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern. We're going to be covering all the news that took place this week. I'm sure Donna Adelson is going to be one of the big ones, but a lot of other interesting cases that you might not have been following all that closely. And then Sunday, what do we do on Sundays, everybody? What do we do on Sundays? We go to Sunday Fun Day, and we answer all of your questions live through the week. We've been getting a lot, and I'm doing my best to answer as many of them as I possibly can. If I didn't answer your question last week, don't get discouraged. Don't get upset. Don't get angry at me. Just call and leave another one, and I will try to get you the next time around. That's this Sunday, live at 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern. It's a lot of fun. It really is a lot of fun. It's one of my favorite things that we do. Finally, CrimeCon is coming up. Not this weekend, but next. It is happening. September 5th through 7th. It is upon us, folks. CrimeCon. If you're still thinking about going and you want to buy a ticket and you haven't purchased them yet, we have a discount code for you. That is Courtroom. You enter that at checkout. You get 10% off. And we're super excited about it because we're incredibly honored that Courtroom Confidential has been nominated for an award. We were nominated as the Outstanding Episodic Series in the podcast category. So please come if you can and support us at the Clue Awards. Let me thank some of our brand new members, Jen Dearborn and Susan Coughlin and Susan B. and Nancy Drewby and Trio Girl Mom. Oh, Trio Girl Mom. Tart with a Heart, Tish Money, Larry Fuller, Karen, Melissa Ensweiler, Misbehavin', you get it, Linda Paulin, Michelle E., Walla Way Renee, Rachel M., Stacy, Tamara Webster, Wake and Bake, Clara London, UK, Miss Nell Scraps, Shannon Duffy, Maya Rodriguez, Sorensen Esquire, Ark Wallach, Robin Williams, Sue Whitfield, Moon Pie NC, Full House, Interested Watcher, and Sis. You guys are all fantastic. I'll tell you who else is fantastic are our mods, Afton and Shy Gal and Kathy and therapists. You guys are all fantastic. Special shout out to Kaylin for keeping everything running so smoothly. And to Tiffany Tisu's, my wife, for being the best thing that ever happened to me. You guys are fantastic. Thank you for spending your Wednesday night with us, and we will see you all this weekend, Saturday and Sunday. Take care, everybody.